Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Mornings with Loretta. And the frequency and the severity of storms, it's growing. And what used to be just a season of tornadoes and severe thunderstorms is now turning into a year-long threat. And who better to come on and talk about emergency preparedness than former FEMA Administrator, Mr. Fugate. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm just going to jump in there because I want to maximize all my time. So why is it so important to have be prepared for emergencies?
Well, because they can occur with or without warning. And this is one of the things I've seen too many times. Families that got prepared do a lot better than the families that weren't prepared. It can mean the difference between life or death. It can mean the difference between you having what you need to take care of your family and having to go out with everybody else trying to get supplies right before the storm and then right after the storm, where it can be very dangerous.
Wow, just watching that. Okay. So what is one of the biggest problems? We know there are a lot of problems, but what would you say is the biggest problem people face during an emergency?
Well, the one that impacts the most people are power outages. A lot of times you'll have homes that are badly damaged or people had to evacuate. But for many communities, it's the power outage that impacts the most people. And that's why having options in your plan for emergency power is now, I think, a necessity, no longer a luxury, especially people that are depending upon medical devices or keeping their devices, like their refrigeration for their medical. But also think about this. One of the biggest dangers immediately after storms are people getting out too early when it's not safe because they need to go get supplies. Having emergency power means you keep your refrigerator going, you keep the freezer going, you got your electronics charged up, you got your radio going, you got your TV going, you're getting information, and that keeps you safe. And so I really think that and this wasn't really available when I started my career. We only had gas powered generators. The new generation of solar powered generators gives us a lot more flexibility and safety in maintaining emergency power in our homes.
That is so true, because I'm thinking, I think it was Hurricane Katrina, and it even affected, not just New Orleans, but it affected a lot of places. And so I remember my neighbor had this huge thing in the backyard that they had to have cords and cords and cords to share. And it was crazy. So to see something you can actually sit on a countertop, that's pretty amazing. And I'm just so thankful for technology. So what are some of the safety issues that people face during an emergency?
Well, the big thing is making sure you have a plan. If you're in evacuation zones, you evacuate. If you're not, making sure you're safe. But where I've seen a lot of people, unfortunately, lose their lives is in the hours to days after a storm, going out, trying to go get supplies, having to leave their home where they're safe. And it causes two problems. One, it's very unsafe. Power lines down, trees down, signals are out at traffic intersections. But also you're blocking the responders from doing their job and the utility crews trying to turn on the power. So as much as you can prepare to be able to stay home in the first days after disaster keeps you safer. And having emergency power, and this is where I really, was when Jackery approached me, I'm like, yeah, this is the time to talk about it. You now can have a device, the Home Power 3000, their latest device, will run a refrigerator. It will run a freezer. And you can see it's not a big device. It doesn't require gas. And for people who live in apartments and condos, I don't have to worry about this being in my home. It doesn't emit carbon monoxide. It's not a gas-powered generator. It's safe, it's quiet, and it will stay charged. Once it's ready to go, it will stay charged for over a year. So it's low maintenance. It's not something I got to go get gas for or get in lines. And it means I can stay home, and when everybody else has their lights out with Jackery, my lights are on.
And that is such an assurance, right, in times of disaster. So what are some of the safety concerns after the actual disaster has taken place?
Again, it depends on the disaster, but it usually are things like when the power's out, traffic signals are out, gas stations are not open, trees are down, power lines are down. It's just a very hazardous environment. And I saw this when I was in Florida, in the 2004 hurricane season. It was a scary statistic. We had more people lose their lives in the days after the 4 hurricanes than we did from the actual hurricanes. One of the biggest causes was traffic crashes, people driving in areas with no signals, especially at night when it was extremely dangerous. And so being able to stay home, having emergency power, I don't have to go to the gas station and get gas. I don't have to get in line with everybody else to get supplies because I've already gotten ready for this. And I can get information. That's the other big thing is not knowing things like, is the water safe to drink, or is it under a boil water order? Getting those news tips and local updates from your officials really can keep you safe. And so that's why having, I think, adding emergency power options to your preparedness kit isn't a luxury anymore. It's something we need to do just to be able to get the information from the local officials.
Well, I just wish we had more time because I have so many questions. This is such a vital conversation, and I don't think we talk enough about it pre-tornado or anything or disaster. So during the Obama administration, you oversaw numerous major weather events, including the Joplin tornadoes and the hurricanes, both Sandy and Matthew. So do you have any other insights to share with us to keep us safe before the storm hits, during a storm, and after?
Before the storm, go to your local news, your local radio stations. They've got the news from the local officials, your meteorologists, and everybody else is giving them what's happening in their community. The national media does a good job for everybody else, but when you're facing that threat, you want to be to your local stations, your local officials, so you know what's going on in your community. You know what you need to do to get ready. If they tell you need to evacuate, this is true not just for hurricanes, but for wildfires and other threats. Know where you're going to go and be prepared to leave. But if everything else is equal and you're safe in your home, being able to stay home, stay out, inside, away from the hazards, and then having your own emergency power can mean a big difference between people that were prepared and people that weren't.
I know, because we think about, having enough water, having enough medicine and canned goods, and then we forget, well, how am I going to open the canned goods? This is prior to the, the flip tops. So those are some things I hope after having watched this conversation, people would go and make a checklist. So I love the generator thing, though, that even if it's not a severe storm, sometimes power goes out, right?
Yep.
So why be in the dark, especially in the summertime without air? Let's not do that. So where can we go for more information?
You can go to jackery.com. And again, they have different sizes. The latest model just came out is the Home Power 3000. This one's small, but it's a very powerful. It will run a freezer. It will run a refrigerator. And as you point out, this isn't just for disasters, just routine power outages, but also can be used for camping, outdoor activities, or when you're doing something you don't have power, you can take this with you. It's fully portable.
I like how you said that. This is totally far right, but I'm doing segments on RV lifestyle, right? So
oh yeah,
definitely need one for your RV lifestyle. I hadn't even thought about that. So
these are very popular. In fact, that's where Jackery really got started. But it became apparent to them that people were using this to be prepared. And so they kind of moved into the market of, well, let's help people be better prepared with a safer product that doesn't bring all the other risk and hazards that traditional gas-powered generators have.
And I just had another thought too, because I live in the South and we close down when it's snow and ice and everything. And then I worry about my mother. How can I get to her if her power is out? So now this is what I'm going to do for my mother. I'm going to purchase her one, because that's a nightmare to think about her not having lights or heat.
And you don't have to drag a generator out. You don't have to do maintenance on it. You don't have to get gas for it. You plug it in, you charge it up, and once it's charged up, it will hold a charge for a year and only lose about 5%. So this is really one of those devices that once you get it, you can use it daily, or you can leave it on a shelf to when you need it, and it's ready to go.
It's so multifunctional, and who wouldn't want a product like that? You can do a lot with it. Just doesn't have to be in times of disaster or when your power goes out. It can be for camping. It could be for whatever you need to do outside, and you don't want to, you just want to have the extra power. So thank you so much, Mr. Fugate, for coming on and being our guest. We appreciate it. I feel more prepared now than I did prior to the conversation. So thank you. You did your job.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Come back anytime. Bye-bye. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did presenting this conversation. I'm serious. I'm going to definitely purchase 2 of those Jackeries, one for home and then one for my mom, because I worry about her a lot. If there's an outage somewhere and I'm working, or I don't know, because her phone is tied to her internet and all the electricity and stuff. So I want to make sure she is protected. That is reassurance for me. So I hope you'll do the same. Not only get one for yourself, but perhaps get one for somebody you love. All right, we have another segment coming up, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk with a fitness expert so we can get our bodies fit and strong. So we'll be right back in just a moment.